Good evening, friends. We start tonight with all the activity on Capitol Hill just 10 days before Donald Trump enters the Oval Office. We'll get to the Senate confirmation hearings in just a moment, but meanwhile, the first order of business was a hearing with the Senate Intelligence Committee on Russian intelligence activities. 4 top intelligence officials testified today on alleged Russian involvement in the election and the accusation this network, RT, influenced the election. The Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, defended the report, pointing to the alleged Russian interference in the election.
I want to make clear that this report does not, repeat, does not assess the impact of Russian activities on the actual outcome of the 2016 election or draw any conclusions in that regard. Intelligence comes from a wide range of sources, including human sources, technical collection, and open source information. We can't discuss the full range of classified information that supports our conclusions because of the extreme sensitivity of these sources, but the key judgments in the public and classified versions are the same.
The method and depth of the investigation came under question at the hearing today. The DNC servers were never turned over to the FBI, and much of the work was outsourced.
Were you given access to do the forensics on those servers?
We were not. We were a highly respected private company, eventually got access and shared with us what they saw there.
But is that typically the way the FBI would prefer to do the forensics, or would your forensics unit rather feel the servers and do the forensics themselves?
We'd always prefer to have access hands-on ourselves, if that's possible.
Do you know why you were denied access to those servers?
I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure.
Was there one request or multiple requests?
Multiple requests at different levels. And ultimately what was agreed to is the private company would share with us what they saw.
The report released on Friday also focused on the coverage produced on this network, RT. Bullet points in the report labeled RT's coverage as dissidence and not journalism. This prompted discussion during the hearing.
Director Clapper, does RT get any of its broadcast into the United States?
Yes, it does some.
It does?
It's very prevalent in Europe and lesser so. I think there's an RT channel here.
And that would be a channel that would be accessible here to some number of people here?
Yes.
Let me...
I don't know the audience size of RT, but they do.
I doubt if it's very large, would be my guess.
RT America, millions of views on YouTube, 850 million. BBC, about 2/3 of that. CNN, significantly lower. Same thing in YouTube subscribers. RT America, 450 million. So RT is a significant media presence.
The intel community and the United States officials are pushing back on questions surrounding the validity of their report on Russian hacking. The generic terms used in the report indicting Russia has independent news agencies questioning its credibility. The same generic language was used in the run-up to the war and, of course, the sell job on WMD. Officials are now saying they won't reveal their method of detection on alleged Russian hacking.
I don't think that we should be surprised that in an unclassified version of a highly classified assessment report that we would be protecting sources and methods. Nobody's saying that there weren't mistakes made in 2000, 2001. But that was, what, 15 years ago? And a lot has changed in the intelligence community since then.
U.S. officials are defending the report, and many on Capitol Hill have accepted the report without reservation. Meanwhile, the question remains tonight. Are there avenues of detection the intel community doesn't want known to the public? And we'll just have to take their word for it. For more on this, let's turn to John McAfee, cybersecurity expert, legend, and CEO of MGT. John, good to have you with us tonight. I appreciate your time. From what you're hearing, do you believe the report to be any more credible than when it was released on Friday and you had reservations?
Oh, absolutely not. I'd like to, by the way, I've read all 25 pages multiple times. The funny issue to me is how they classify RT America as a propaganda branch of the Russian government. I've been on McAfee dozens of times, and with you a number of times. You know as well as I, you have no idea what I'm going to say until I sit in this chair, because I don't know until I sit in this chair. At no point has anyone influenced me from RT to say or do or act in any way. So that part, at least from my experience, is utter nonsense. Well, why am I on RT? It's because, as the intelligence community pointed out in this little graph here, it does not matter how many live viewers you have. You have 850 million people who view the YouTube channel, so that people are 10 times more likely to watch my performance on RT than on CNN, which only has 90 million. So they're smart enough to know that live viewers is insignificant in the world of the internet.
Well, John, let me broach this subject here. You have the Director of National Intelligence indicting this network for being propaganda, yet he doesn't know how many people access our material. That in itself, to anybody on the street, ought to say to the average Joe on the street, these guys are winging it. Now, from a technical standpoint...
But they do know that 850 million people a year do watch your YouTube channel, which is the most important thing. They know that much.
All right, the technical aspect of this, there's still a lot of generic terminology. Is it not known universally how you find out, how you trace what people are doing in cyberspace?
Let me read to you one sentence from this report. The sentence goes, "The nature of cyberspace makes attribution of cyber operations difficult but not impossible. Every kind of cyber operation leaves a trail." They're absolutely correct. What they're missing is that anyone can create that trail. If I'm the Russian KGB, the trail that I leave is up to me. I can create it. I mean, for example, even if the NSA, as they claim, can trace any spoofed IP, no matter how many servers you want to go through, they claim they can trace it to its source. Well, if I'm the KGB, I have operatives all over the world. When I finish my malware, I mail it to my operative in South Africa and say, go rent a computer at a coffee shop and plant this malware. There's simply no way to connect it then with Russia. Mm-hmm. The entire report is based on a tradecraft that is 50 years old. I have great respect for our intelligence community. Don't get me wrong. Great respect. I do. But they are behind the times. This is a new age. They cannot possibly be unsophisticated enough not to know that these traces are all created electronically by the hackers.
Would you go so far as to say that their behavior is reckless?
Well, I wouldn't say reckless. I would possibly naive, possibly based on the way things used to be before this new cyber age of intelligent and creative hackers came into being. The report further goes on to say we can trace them by the way they do their work and the specific malware that they use. This is also nonsense. Once a piece of malware has been used, it ends up in the dark web, and hundreds of thousands of hackers are now using that. They're ignoring this one important point. Just because someone uses a piece of malware does not mean it was the malware's creator or anyone related to them.
Your thoughts on
piece of malware
your thoughts on the FBI not having access directly to the servers and yet coming to a conclusion and outsourcing it to a company that they claim is reputable?
Well, to me, it doesn't matter. We do know the facts. We know the malware that was used.
Yeah.
We know that the fact it had Russian language in it. We know all of these things that could not possibly be there if it were really the Russians. So whether they had access to the server or not, common sense tells you, just based on public knowledge, that it cannot possibly be the Russian government. Now, it may be a Russian, could be a 15-year-old kid using the same malware, or it could be some criminal hacking organization. but certainly not the KGB, certainly not the Russian intelligence services. This is way too unsophisticated,
All right.
too crude,
John McAfee,
too many errors.
Great for your expertise tonight. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us. The Obama administration has added 5 high-ranking Russian officials to its blacklist, bringing the total number up to 44. The Treasury Department